What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. Straight Facts Show. I am Mr. Straight Facts. So, this past weekend, man, and today is a lot of news in it. Hope you guys had a good weekend. If you was out there in the parade, or not parade, the march, the protest, then I hope you had a good time, stayed safe. I heard one person say, I think it was a Latin person. The reason why I say it because she said something to the effect of, uh, there weren't a lot of black people. I guess she was counting the heads of black people that showed up wherever the state she was in. And black people understand why we mostly aren't there. In my state, I say, you know what? It's right down a block from me or whatever, or a few blocks from me. I might go stop. And then I heard someone tell me like, "Oh man, it was still everything was peaceful. It was just crazy packed." And it's like, man, the streets are killer. I'm like, I ain't going through all that. I ain't going to the streets are killer thing. If I would have walked it, I would have probably went. But regardless, you know, a lot of stuff went on this weekend. We're going to talk about, the march in a second. But I want to talk about this Vance Luther Bolter. This guy, the unaliver of two Democrats, he shot four, went to four homes, but only was successful in getting into two. One family wasn't home. They don't know how blessed they were to not be at home, right? So this man threw on one of those latex masks and decided to take people's lives. What's up, Demetrius? And it was just, one thing I was shocked. Like they found out who it was. It must have been because of his car or something like that. Because with the mask, not unless he had taken it off and they recognized his picture or something. But the police pretty much figured it out. One thing I tripped out about, and I ain't got nothing against the officers or anything like that, but as it was unfolding, they first said this man was like 61. Then they said he was 57. So I guess it turns out he was 57. I don't know about you, but I saw that 57-year-old man. He escaped all the cops. The car in which he came, they got. He came out, saw they was at his car like a little bit beyond it, and bolted. And somehow this 57-year-old man who looked hella out of shape outran them, outmaneuvered them, and there was more of them than him. That threw me. And I give credit where credit is due. They got it, right? But one of the things that, and this is just how it is for me. I get tired of seeing in press conferences that kiss the ass of the officers instead of just talk about the families or something like that. Our officers did this and our officers did that. Your officers lost him, sir. He weighed more than most of y'all, and you lost him. I don't want to hear how great you did when you lost him. He was right there. You saw him. And all you had to do, if he ran away, pew pew like you do us, and he would have been laying down in the ground. But no, you let that man escape. Not 1 hour, days. So please stop telling us how great your department is when you missed him. Take responsibility that you missed him at first. Our department kind of faltered a little bit. We tried to find him. It was in dark. We couldn't get through the terrain. He got away. Our bad. But we're going to work our butt off to get him. Maybe something like that, because it keeps it honest. Instead of you coming out and bullshitting everybody. We did a great job. No, you didn't. You fucked up at the very beginning. I tell you, I keep it factual. At the very beginning, you fucked up. You got there quick. I'll give you that. But you let them slip away. Now, I'm from California, and I was in the news industry for over 20 years. We got helicopters galore. They're up in minutes. California is the size of another damn planet. And our shit is up and ready no matter where it is in California. And they're there during the chase. You don't see them all. We're world famous with our chases. Oh, look out for that tree. Blah, blah, the car. He almost hit him. That's us. And you're going to tell me that a man running in the dark, old, I'm 54, he 57, he got his ass away from all your officers. You didn't set no perimeter once you saw the vehicle there. Nothing. But oh, we did great. We did wonderful. No, you didn't. You fucked up. But at the end, you made it up. But just tell the truth. We fucked up. We made it up. Great. But no, they get out there. Our officers did an excellent job and kept the community. Shut up. Because of you, the rest of the damn community wasn't safe anymore. For a few days, they weren't safe because you let them evade you. If in California we can get helicopters up and find people, we haven't lost but like 1 or 2 people in a chase in like 50 years. It ain't like we just superhuman. You guys fucked up. But no, at the press conference, we did great, we did wonderful. No, you didn't. You fucked up. Thank you for catching him. But you're the reason he was out on the street for days, because you couldn't catch him at the time in which he was there. Had it been a person of color, they'd have been laying face down in the grass. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. So this man, I don't normally get into beefs anymore. When I first started, on social media, like somebody in my comments or whatever used to light me up. I'd be like, all right. And I'll get up and make a video and just wear their asses out. Why? Because I don't stand liars and I can't stand people who don't do homework. So while this dude was on the loose, all I did is when I got up I think it was like Saturday morning, I saw that and I get too much news, more than I need to get. You know what I'm saying? I got kind of alerts. And the right-wing people were going batshit crazy, talking about, these Democrats got unalived by a Democrat, and these Democrats are this, the socialists this, they kill themselves, and they were just going in. Now, again, I don't make a decision off anything. I'm like, damn, what did happen, right? So I had to go do homework. I ain't listening to nobody say what it was. I went and did homework. Within 30 minutes of researching this, because everything was unfolding, it automatically had, and this is a right wing, because I go right wing, left, centrist, and even one that doesn't have any lean whatsoever, like a PBS. And I went and researched, and very quickly I found out that this man was registered as a Republican in 2022, right? So all of this right-wing media crap was all a lie. Go figure. They were out there running the narrative that it was degenerate Democrats that were doing this to themselves, and look how criminal they are. They take no time whatsoever. And these are the head people. I ain't talking about the MAGA, sidekicks. I ain't talking about them. They were going off in social media and Twitter and all stuff like that. And I don't even have Twitter. I just saw different little quotes and stuff. And they were going in. So in one of the videos I posted, it was the David Carlson turns out to be the one of the roommates of this man. Early on, he got this text and he's crying on this little stoop. I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't have any sympathy or empathy for him because I didn't know the story. I didn't know whether that person or anybody else, for that matter, was a part of it because it hadn't unfolded yet. So I'm like, I don't have any empathy for the killer's friends or sympathy. No, I had all my sympathy and empathy for the families that were harmed and the ones fighting for their lives. That's all I cared about. But in his comment section of this video, people are like, oh, he really feels like he's feeling it. He's this, he's that, he's blah, blah. I don't give 2 shits about this dude. I'm like, yo, that phone he's got with the text in it is evidence. Somebody need to collect that shit. And I said all the other stuff that was just logical to find this man. He texted him, you need that phone to find out where it came from, where he may have been, cell pings, all that shit. That shit needs to be collected like pronto, right? So people in the comments section was tripping, like, oh, especially the MAGAs, the no face people, no profile people with 35 followers. So these people were just like lighting me up in the comment sections. I usually don't let that stuff bother me, but this one person wanted to tell, and it wasn't even me really. It was my comment, and they was talking amongst each other. And this person said something to the effect of, "Hey, this guy was basically because they went with the liberal socialist killing themselves, degenerate, and all stuff like that, Democrat thing for a minute, and then when they couldn't find out he was a Democrat, they couldn't find anything. They said something to the fact that this person said, "You guys need to learn some or whatever." He said, "Some you guys need to learn." He was a no affiliate. Try again. And I was like, no affiliation? What are you talking about? Right? Quick research to find out. No, he wasn't. This man was a Republican in the early 2000s, him and his wife in Oklahoma. He moved to Minnesota. He didn't re-register, but he probably still voted because Oklahoma has a law in which the way they vote, you don't, their thing is you don't have to re-register. You can just go vote. So he was a Republican the entire time. He just hadn't registered in Minnesota until 2022. In between time, he was on a committee, and that would be Governor Walz, Tim Walz. He had a committee of workforce committee. And just like Tim Walz said, during his run for vice president, he said that he brought the Democrats, Republicans, and independents and all that like all together to work on his state. And he got insurance, health care passed. Remember, he had those positive speeches, and he was literally saying, this is what he's done for Minnesota. Now, some people may have taken that as gaslighting, but it turns out it's true. So this committee that these Republicans were talking about, that Tim Walz was the leader of, that brought in everybody to listen to everybody to figure out what they can do for their state, which is what a leader does. They tried to make that a negative thing and try to push this batshit crazy MAGA person onto a Democrat and put it out there in all their social media, everything. Had their little, Republican, propaganda wing of podcasters out there lying about that. They was all pushing the narrative. Fox was pushing these crazy ass narratives. And I said to myself when this shit happened, I said, you know what? This sounds like a Republican. Now, I'm wrong maybe, but I don't know. I said I hadn't done my homework yet, but I was like, this sounds like something a Republican would do. But let me do my research. And soon enough, I found out, like I said, I found out through New York Post. The New York Post was the first one to break it as far as I saw, that he was registered as a Republican in 2022. It was hard to find because he hadn't really registered in Minnesota. He was originally in Oklahoma, so you had to look up Oklahoma to find some of the things. Then it was validated by the Daily Beast, by CNN, and all different things like that, where CNN actually, along with other people, I don't know who they got it from, the first person I saw, that said that he had registered in the early 2000s with his wife as a Republican. So everything was validated that it was the Republican mindset. This person was a Republican. Now, here's the thing that happens to Democrats that, that really kind of bothers me, Democrats. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just getting sick and tired of being bullied by Republicans. Republicans will lie through their teeth. They made it immediately. They made it political. Immediately, they made it political. The first thing I saw on this was Republicans talking about how bad it was and that it was Democrats doing it and it was on Tim Walz, this and the other. Everything they saw that had anything to do with a Democrat, they ran with. They ran with it negatively. They made it political. And then as soon as it is verified that it is a Republican, they went quiet. They went quiet. Except for this dude who hadn't got the message because he's just a plain dipshit that was in one of my comments saying that this dude was a non-affiliate party, whatever. And I'm like, you don't know. you don't do your homework. These MAGA people don't do homework whatsoever. It's crazy how these people call people sheep, and they're like the master sheep. They listen to whatever the hell is being said and they regurgitate it. Fox was out there rolling with this shit. Senator Mike Lee was out here referencing horror films and shit. I mean, it was just insane how they politicized it with the quickness. But once it was known that he was a Democrat, he was a Republican, the Democrats did nothing. Just let it go. That shit should have been in every news, everything. These Republicans, these Republican degenerates, these people are just not worth anything. I mean, you should have went off on them. They were doing it to you when they had no facts. They got in front of the narrative because they wanted everybody in this damn country to think that there's something wrong with the Democrats. Well, this is strike three. Every time something like this happens, remember, Donald Trump was, a quote unquote trying to be assassinated by the young man on top of the building. Some people believe it, some people don't. But the reality is he was on top of that building shooting something, right? So that was a Republican, yet though they billed it as a Democrat. Dude behind him died and somebody else got harmed. All of that. Donald Trump became this major hero from some of these people in the United States. He survived it. That guy. Oh, he was a Democrat. Then they found out he was a Republican. Quiet. Dems just left it alone. The other man, wrapped in a flag or whatever the hell he was doing, sitting outside like he was at the park or some shit, in a chair under a tree in some shade, in a couple weapons, rifles, trying to take him out at a golf range. This man donated money to some kind of Africa or whatever it is, and they just automatically thought this man was a Democrat. He's a liberal because he gave a damn about other people in other countries. He's a liberal, he's this. Turns out he's a Republican. So 2 Republicans have taken up arms and tried to unalive Trump, right? Then this one loads up and does it. And the same thing, Democrats. You should be wearing their asses out right now. This is what a Republican is like. These are the problems with Republicans. But no, they don't do it. They go high and not low shit. And guess what happens? That narrative of Democrats being degenerative and this or that and the third, there are still people out in these streets right now still think that man is a Democrat because they ran with that shit early. That's their thing. Lie early and fast. The lie's going to travel 4 million miles before the truth even wakes the fuck up. They know it. That's why they lie incessantly. Because these stupid people just listen to whomever's telling them it because they love that person. They believe in that person, that anchor, that reporter, that podcaster. And that person gets paid to lie to them. A lot of money. And Democrats and others just constantly try to keep that level. We're not uncouth. We're just so you know what? You're losing a battle against demons. You can't fight demons the same way you would fight somebody who's just a good person and is making a mistake. Demons go out to fuck over everybody on a day-to-day basis. Project 2025 did not come to fruition by saints. It came to fruition by devils, by demons who woke up every day wanting the blood of Democrats, independents, people of color, and white women and women in general. They want the blood of those people. They woke up every day with that level of hate in their heart. As they typed every fucking letter, they had hate in their heart. Never once in the typing of these 900 some pages, with that being the book 1, and there's another book that's even bigger than that that's all about implementing it. Never did they wake up 1 minute and think, I shouldn't be typing this. This is evil toward my people. This is evil toward Americans. No, they had so much hate in their heart that even through the first chapter, they still had more to keep typing all this hateful shit on people. Latin people, people of color, taking away women's rights, trying to still take away women's rights. trying to make women have babies when they don't want them, paying them. All this shit was written out. They had all this hate in their heart, and it never dissipated. Think about that for a minute. When you are upset and somebody, let's say, cuts you off, you be like, that's cuss word. I ain't gonna say it, motherfucker. You going off. No matter what. You may not say nothing to them. You're just saying it like, Then you calm down. After a while, you be like, yeah, I'm still alive. You know what I mean? The car ain't wrecked. I'm gonna just go ahead and get my coffee. You ain't still pissed off about that car 6 weeks down the road. These fools have been doing this shit for 40-something years, revising it. They breeding hate. It's like somebody took it over. 1960s, they started doing this shit. The 70s, they're still doing it. 70s is a decade. I'm talking about decades here. 80s, 90s. This hatred is still going. It ain't dissipated. You don't get Project 2025 with anybody giving a fuck about anybody else but white nationalists. You can't just dislike them. You have a strong hate for somebody when you can write a master plan that you know is going to harm this group and this group and this group. And you're waking up giddy every day to write that shit. You're battling a devil and think it's just a person with a bad attitude. That's a demon that wakes up every day with hate in his heart, but smiles in your face like it's a wonderful fucking day. These people every day worked alongside Latin people, Asian people, black people, women, and was thinking about fucking you over every last second, every waking moment of their life. It hasn't dissipated. It only grows stronger. So how do you defeat something like that? How you going to defeat a demon when you just sitting around acting like it's a regular freaking day? Think about what it takes to do these things. How many of you guys have decided, one day I'm going to write a book? Write a book about my life. I went through a bunch of stuff. I went through the military and things happened to me there, and I got assaulted, I got beat up, I got this, I got that. I won the lottery and all. You want to write a book. How often have you finished it? And it's your life. You don't have the passion to continue even writing about the good shit in your life and the bad, that you haven't finished a 30-page book. And these fools don't finish a 900 and something page book built upon hate. And a backup book that does, hey, this department needs a directive. And this department, Department of Education, needs to be turned down. This is how we're going to do it. They wrote detailed, not one of them. A shit ton of white men came together and put money together, millions. Went around begging billionaires to give them more money to keep this hatred going. And we think we're battling just regular ass people. Those are devils you're trying to defeat. There ain't no regular good ass person that thinks like always every day has energy to be able to hate. That's scary, y'all. That's scary. I don't understand how we think we're going to defeat that, Dems. I don't think you know the magnitude of what you're dealing with. Because we're in this racist white denial. Because we won't admit this racism exists. This xenophobia exists. This transphobia exists in the masses that it is in. It is starting to grow. Because we thought it was over. It just grew and grew and grew in the dark like a mushroom. And it's growing right now so big that everybody's acting like just because it's not hitting your front door right now, this thing, this nuclear bomb of hate is not going to blow up in your face. And now people are recognizing it. The Latin people who want to be white are sitting there. I saw this one dude, Cuban. Well, we wanted things to happen, but we just didn't know. He literally said this shit. We ain't the bad ones. Why is he coming after us? I don't understand that we didn't vote for this. You aren't the bad ones. Your entire culture, Mr. Cuban man, you thought the entire Cubans have never did any crimes that aren't like immigrants too. The entire Cuban culture. Maybe not you, sir. But this idea that you thought that every Cuban wasn't a bad person, there's bad in every culture. And if we can weed out the bad in every culture, I'd be happy. But to think that there aren't bad in every culture, that was stupid to begin with. And now he crying about, they coming after us too. Well, dipshit, how don't you think forward? He said he's going to go after criminals. How many criminals do you think there was in this country? Illegal, quote unquote illegal immigrants. There's estimated no more than 650,000 of them. They telling you there's 13, 14, 20, 35 million hike. You know what I'm saying? They all over the place. Like it's a fucking, what's it like? Not a raffle, but they're like 25, 35, 45, 45, 35, 45. There's not that many fucking immigrants here. I don't know why the fuck they think this shit. Cause what? Republicans use it for fear. And it works every time. They try to make being woke a negative thing so that dumb people can stay asleep. Hateful people can stay asleep while they rob you of your liberties, of your rights, because you're blinded by hate. You can't see they're picking your pockets at the same time. Didn't even realize that the people you hate so much is running your farm, is running your meatpacking business. The people you got so much hate for are the ones that are being utilized to create your wealth. And your hate had you be so stupid that you couldn't look out at your land of acres of land and see that it was filled with brown people. You hired them. You know they don't have what they need to have because you're paying them shit every day. And ain't no American gonna be paid shit to be picking strawberries and apples and peaches and pears and pecans and whatever the fuck all day. Shit. Ain't no American doing that shit. That's if you got a regular American doing that shit, he grew up doing that and love it with his or her own heart. Their parents own the farm or whatever. You ain't getting no average American that has a fucking education of any kind. High school, 5th grade, I don't care what it is. They ain't gonna look at that and be like, I want to go out in the hot sun and sweat all day and run up strawberries up to a little truck all day, just loaded, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, I just love it. Who the hell thinks that? People today, Americans, come on now. You don't even want to work a 5-day week. You be trying to get a 4-day work week. And how you gonna think working 6 or 7 days and 12 hours a day, sun up to sundown, making $4 and shit an hour? Boy, these people drive me nuts, man. It's like, how did you think that far ahead? You don't have to be a genius. This is what trips me out, people, because I know you guys are smart. What trips me out is that how does somebody not think what I just said? How can you not think that? I mean, how would you not know that this is what it's going to take? How would you not know that? When Donald Trump was running, he was talking about immigration the way he was talking about it. It's not like they didn't have an example of how he did it the last time. When Donald Trump was the president the last time, there are still kids to this day that don't have their moms or their dads because they separated them, didn't tag them like animals so that you know that that's Maria's son and Juan's son. No, you just broke them apart like they're supposed to recognize where you sent them. Some went to Texas, they don't even know where their kids are. That was the first time. So much hate in people's heart, they didn't care. You couldn't even tell them, which I said in many a video. I said, take Juan and Maria and Jose out of it. Just say that Becky, John, and Pam, your daughter Becky just got snatched up by a bunch of Latin people, thrown into a bus and sent somewhere, and where your baby at? How you feel about that? You had to throw these people in the position. They couldn't throw themselves in it. You had to give them an example for them to be like, I'd be pissed. Well, no shit. That child and that family are tortured for life. That child never comes back. All because you got a problem with them being in the country, and there's less of them being criminals than American citizens. We said there's not that many people coming over the border that they were talking about. There's millions, but not the millions they was talking about. 13, 14, 20, 30. And you know what kills me the most about this shit? Is that Obama was called the, deporter in chief. The deporter in chief. Deported 3 million, more than most presidents. Biden didn't deport that much. Trump didn't deport that much. And how is it that most of America had no clue that this man was a deporter in chief while he was president? Because he didn't make this huge deal and made everybody so afraid of immigrants. And then you tell yourself, how is it that Republicans think they own the narrative on the border when none of them have deported 3 million immigrants? That would mean the Democrats are winning in the idea of deporting people, right? Democrats have protected the border more than any Republican because none of them have gotten 3 million immigrants out of the country. They don't compare. So you're gonna sit here and try to take the, I can do, like, I can take care of finances and all these things of this nature, but you're not conservative with your money like you say you are. How do you take that label, Republicans, when you spent more money than any other president, any other House or Senate? You guys put us in more debt than any other party, which is only two that's been in, really. Well, before they Democrats and shit like that was another Whig party and all that. But still, you're the ones that have cost more money, that have not been conservative. Yet you got this conservative label that you carry around. And Democrats, why the hell you let them carry that label? I have no fucking clue. Because you're better than them at what they say they are. That's marketing. There is no truth to Republicans being liberal, being conservative. There's no truth to it. The only conservatism they have is the stereotype, not the stereotype, but the evil part of conservatism. That one thing that says we don't ever want to change. We want to stay the same. Take everything back to the way it was. That type of conservative, but not fiscally conservative, which they try to claim. Just the record alone, Democrats are the only ones who have balanced the budget and had a surplus. A Democrat is the only one who's ever paid off the debt. This is way back in the day when our debt was like 500 million or 500,000 or something like that. A Democrat is the only one who's ever paid off the debt in this country. So fiscal conservative is a Democrat thing, not a Republican, right? So then you talk about immigration. Obama beat the brakes off of any Republican, whereas he quietly, not disrespectfully, deported 3 million. Now, everybody wasn't happy, I'm sure, but he deported 3 million in the quiet. None of the just every day you hearing about it and stressing you the fuck out, making crazy racist and scary shit until they're coming to get you and they're coming in droves, they're invading and all that shit. None of that. 3 million. People talking about invading and shit, they ain't got rid of 400,000 of them. Always trying to take a narrative that they lose at. And Democrats, you suck at promoting yourselves. At this point, I think it's on purpose. Earthkeeper's right. Clinton was the last one to create I think he was the balance the budget and have a surplus. Bush took us to the brink of freaking poverty in this damn country. Obama brought us back out of the hole, and Trump put us back into it to the tune of the most, how many trillions of dollars? Was it 7 or 8 trillion, whatever this dude put us in debt? And more than any president in United States history, this man. And they brought him back. And now they go, oh, the prices aren't lowering. And no shit, that's not their wheelhouse. Do your homework. That's not what they do. They spend and don't have a way to pay it off. They give tax cuts that they can't pay for. They try and break the government. They don't try and keep the government running. They want the government running. They always talk about small government. They're talking about small government. They ain't talking about real small like government. They want government to intervene on everything. They just want it to have little money because the money it pulls in, they want it going back to them so that there's little money in the government so it doesn't have as much power. The rich people have more power than the government. That's what they want to happen. Keep giving us the money. Put all this money in here, give it to us to build shit. Give it to us to build shit. Now, fuck the people. Give it to us. That's what they want. But they tell you, hey, they'll end up getting amongst all of them combined, every American citizen, 99%, add every dime they get back for taxes, maybe 20 million, maybe, 100 million. Add everything the 1% gets back, their shit's in the hundreds of billions. And it's like, yeah, give them that 100 million. That's in my bank account. I could have paid them that. And we sit there, oh, I got 3,000. Oh, I got 1,000, blah, 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 blah. And here they are getting billions of money back. You getting $300, $3,000, and not seeing the forest for the trees. Being excited about that 300. I know you can need it for certain things that you want to buy. But the reality is, do you want your country to be healthy? Or do you want it always to be starved? And that's what Republicans don't want. They want our country to be starved while they live fat. And too many Americans buy into that starving America, starving our government, and allowing rich people to control the narrative. And that's what they do until the people rise up and starve the billionaires so that the people can have the power back of their country. That the people can unite over something. Right now is a tragedy that's going on in this country. Just like 9/11, they're trying to take democracy. That's one big, huge 9/11 because you got to understand something. All those like September, 9/11, when that happened, they were trying to destroy our country. Right? They were trying to take us out. And we all got together and said never again because they were trying to destroy what America had, our democracy, our way of life, everything. And we got domestic terrorists. Trump, all of them, they're domestic terrorists. They're doing the exact same thing that the 9/11 people wanted to do. They're just doing it with white faces so that you don't know that it's a threat. They're trying to destroy democracy. Everything that we built and that we stand for, they're trying to kill it. And we're just sitting idly by because our lives are so like, oh, I still get to go do what I want to do and get my coffee. I can do my Pilates. I can do this and it ain't really as bad as it is. And you keep going until it is bad. But you got to understand something. Once it's bad, it's not something you can just turn around and take back. You have to take it back before it gets worse. That's the problem. People don't recognize it's already worse. Having the military basically taking over one of the states, the biggest states, don't even realize that putting the military in California and acting like you can rule over the governor anytime you want. And these people are like, oh, they don't like libs, so they allow it. You got to understand something. We're bigger than the majority, than most of America. How many miles are in California covers most of America? There is no state bigger than us. So, and we have over 30, I think 30 something military bases. Think about it for a hot second. If the biggest state in this country can be occupied by Donald Trump, it's only to tell the rest of y'all, smaller states, that you don't have a chance in hell if he turns on you. You don't. Chicago, Illinois, you don't have a chance. Iowa, you have no chance. If you're a blue state that's small, you have no chance. If you're a red state and you done pissed him off for some reason, you have no chance. Because what he did to us, he'll do to you. I said this a while back ago. He literally came out and said this in some message to tell others not to, test him. What type of tyrant does that? The same rhetoric that Donald Trump is spewing, there was an actual a sheriff or someone, a head police officer before this military, talking about if you throw a rock. He didn't say that we were going to defend ourselves. He said he would kill you dead. A rock, a bottle, I'm going to kill you dead. That rhetoric would have never came out of his mouth if he was under Biden. They feel they have leeway to bring out the most hate. Now, if you hear anybody speak like that, just know, this is what I need everybody to understand. When you see people speak like that, you got to understand right away, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That person is racist, is sexist, is all of the above. Why? He wouldn't talk like that if the racist in chief wasn't empowered. All of these people out here, racist white people out here, speaking like this, they wouldn't say that if they didn't think that they would be let go if they did what they did. They have free reign in their minds to attack trans people, to attack Democrats, to attack liberals, to attack anybody, because the person that's leading them will probably pardon them, because that's what they feel they have a right to do. There were 4 Democrats shot. And that party, instead of sending prayers and positive messages toward the families and say this is a time to come together, no rhetoric, no. They went out talking mad shit. There was a few that was in the state of Minnesota. They were saying we need to come together, whatever party. But the majority of their party was either silent or talking shit. And remember when Steve Scalise was shot? Everybody was praying for him, pulling for him, saying this is not the place. You shouldn't be doing something like this. What Democrats was coming out and saying, it was a Democrat, it was a Republican that shot him. I know it was a Republican that shot him. Nope. They waited until they found out who it was. Turns out, I think it was a Democrat, just deranged. And that person got charged. We didn't sit there and act like that person was a hero. We didn't do none of that shit. We didn't immediately say that it was a Republican who did it to a Republican. No. That party does that shit. And you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. I get tired of hearing Democrats, my friends across the aisle. Bro, you don't have any friends across the aisle. Quit saying that shit. They are not your friends. I don't know any friend that would literally try and destroy you when you're down. That's the type of friend we don't need. Do you guys need friends that if somebody you know and love has died or worked alongside has died to the hands of a Republican, and a Republican is over here making all these different snide remarks? Is that a friend of yours? Or that Republican's over in the corner not saying a word? Not going out public and saying we don't need any rhetoric, Republicans. This is not the time. Send prayers, send this, send that, get this criminal. No. The ones who spoke out disrespectfully and blamed Democrats for the entire thing, except for the people in Minnesota. Those two parties in Minnesota, the state, they came together. Just like Governor Walz says his state does. They came together and had a message about unity. But the rest of the Republican Party had nothing to do with it. Nothing. Now, at this press conference, they said something to the effect, I remember a reporter said something to the effect of, have you charged him with being a domestic terrorist? And he tried to evade that question. He's like, basically, we trying to charge him with stuff, I guess, that we can win. He didn't say those words, but that's what it sounded like. We're going to charge him with what we determine and everything like that. Like, that's a hard thing. And I realized something. If you go back and look at the history, it's easy for this country to call someone of a brown colored skin, a Muslim, a black person, right? A terrorist, a domestic terrorist, if they're out there doing the exact same thing, a white person who should be called a domestic terrorist. But when it becomes to the point where it's a white person, they have never labeled that person as a domestic terrorist. Now, in history, they may have, in certain sense, I don't know what they did to Timothy McVeigh. I don't know if they called him a domestic terrorist. I can't remember if him or not. But I started looking up and I was like, what is the determination of a domestic terrorist? Like, what is the definition? And to simplify it, a domestic terrorist is any person, and these three things they must qualify for to some degree, commit dangerous acts to human life that violate U.S. criminal laws. This Vance guy checks that off. 2, intend on those acts to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. He went around killing people in their own homes. Their husbands were not, the wife was not a politician. The husband was not a politician on the other end. 2 politicians, 2 civilians. He took their lives and he tried to take more. So that's a check mark. Influence government policy by intimidation or coercion. There were reasons prior to that people had a question. This was early on, which turns out it didn't lead anywhere because Republicans were leading with, she voted alongside, she was the only vote to vote alongside of a Republican thing about getting rid of health care for, I guess, illegal immigrants or something in Minnesota about immigrants. And they tried to blame that on it. But when it comes out that this man had like a quote unquote manifesto, a document that they later have said that it was just a document that he had what would you say? Not necessarily manifesto. It was more like a diary to some degree that he had of written stuff that he's talking about. And they just started pulling names out of his notes. This man was stalking them. He was hunting them like wild game, right? Knew where they were, seen them, and kept notes about them and things of that nature, where they're going to be, their schedule, all this shit. So, and he had a bunch of stuff in there about hating abortions, and they don't know 100% sure, but they think it's more along those lines than about this immigration thing, right? Because this dude didn't care about immigration stuff. He was mostly about abortions. So that's a check mark. Affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. He kidnapped, he assassinated. Mass destruction, I don't know what considers mass, but if it's more than what, 1, 2, I don't know what the mass has to be. But that's one of the 3 inside that 1 parameter, and he's got 2 out of the 3 for damn sure. And then the third is that those acts must occur primarily within the United States territory. This man had people who were living in different states. Wasn't just his state. It went from 40, it went from 70 plus or whatever. Today, I think in the news they said it was 45. And they were across state lines. So that's why the FBI is involved as opposed to the police. Well, the police are involved too, but the FBI takes precedent. So the FBI is going to do its thing first, and then the state will do its thing next. So they got, priority. So this man is a domestic terrorist, ladies and gentlemen, 100%. Based off the definition, he's a domestic terrorist. There's no other heightened sense of domestic terrorism. But here's the thing in this country. When a domestic terrorist is a white man, he gets called mentally ill. He gets relegated to, he has a problem that he needs therapy. He has a medical issue. There's something wrong with his brain. I'm like, well, no shit. All of them, there's something wrong with their fucking brain. And anybody's got to be mental to do some shit like this. But the reality is, black people and people of color Muslims and things of that nature, they don't get that they're mentally ill shit. They're domestic terrorists. 100. It ain't there. Go back and look at it. There was a time when there was a black guy who had, I don't know if he finally ended up getting domestic terrorism, but they were already saying in the news that he was a domestic terrorist. There was a black guy who had a stepson, and he was in the military. He was an ex-military. He had trained his stepson with rifles, and they would sit in the back of their. They had a car with a trunk, and they had made a keyhole. They put a hole in there so they can be able to just snipe people. They were sniping people throughout the United States, just driving around. Pap, pap, pap. Domestic terrorists. That's what they were called. Now, whether they were actually found that domestic terrorism was their final thing, I don't know. But I knew it was all in the news, domestic terrorism. The dude who bombed the Boston marathon. Bomb, blew up, hurt some people, killed some people. Domestic terrorism was the first thing. Before they even knew what this man was, he was Muslim, they found that out. Domestic terrorism was the thing they were saying up in the news. But when it's a white male, they're mentally ill, they're sick, there's something wrong with them, but they're not considered terrorists. When the FBI said many years ago, I believe either it was under Obama, it might have been under Trump. I think it was either Obama or Biden. Forgot how many years ago this has been. Where the person said, the head of the FBI said, the biggest problem we have in this country is domestic terrorism. And the person, this is what they said, the domestic terrorism is coming from white nationalist groups. Instead of doing a raid on these white nationalist groups and arresting them for terrorism, we have yet to see an investigation that has literally arrested white terrorists in this country. And I got to thinking, why not? We all know they exist. I believe, and this is not necessarily facts, but this is what I believe it is. I truly think that what we've said, especially black people have said for centuries now, the biggest threat, the largest criminal in this country, the history of crime, of rape, of murder, of torture, has been by the hands of white men. The massive numbers. But yet this country has this non-fear of white men. It's like, why aren't you afraid of the people who have killed the most on this soil? They damn near wiped out all the Native Americans. They killed the shit out of black people, right? Latin people, they didn't mess with you too. Asian people, Chinese people, when you was here at the very beginning, they was fucking with you too. Before we was white, they was fucking with Italian people. They were fucking with all these people before they claimed white. Were fucking with everybody in this country, on this soil. The biggest criminal, the largest group of criminals that have raped, pillaged, killed, maimed are white men. And for some reason, they have this made up, spotless, like non-criminal like persona. How the fuck is that? There is nobody on this soil that has killed more than white men. Nobody. You can multiply every culture by 10 and you still wouldn't come up with as amount of bodies as white men have maimed, raped, killed in this country. I ain't even gonna go outside the world, in other parts of the world, in this country. But yet they have a spotless record. People come to this country and want to assimilate with the murderous group and think somehow that group is better when no other culture has done what they've done to people. Could it be because they're afraid of them, that they want to be close to them? I don't know. But it's just straight odd how they've demonized all people that are brown, and the nemesis to black people and people of color, the people that unalive them for no fucking reason other than hate, by far, are white men. And if they started to tell you that the white men in this country, which they did by the FBI, are the terrorists in this country, the domestic terrorists in this country, then the polish in which they've painted over this turd would fall off, and you would see those racist white men for the shit that they are, as opposed to this, oh, they're just great people, they're non-criminals. No. On all levels, whether it be white-collar crime, blue-collar crime, whatever collar crime, Donald Trump has stolen more money than from other people than any amount of shoplifting has happened in this country from people who are brown, poor, and white. All of us added together over probably decades. One man, white male, has stolen more money than all of us combined. Yet, though, I guarantee you, there's poor white people, Latin, Asian, Hispanic, black people in jail for shoplifting. Something that's amounts to a loaf of bread that this man done stole hundreds of millions of dollars and still walks around and professes to poor people that he's one of them, when his ass should be in jail like one of them would if they stole a piece of bread. I don't see how people can be so asleep and literally think that you and that man have anything in common. He uses you as a shield. He knows that your racism, their racism, is what they have in common with him. Because you break everything else down, what does Donald Trump have in common with a poor white person? This man grew up with a gold toilet. Half of y'all got fake gold teeth, but nothing else. Gold. Gold necklace, gold bracelet. He grew up getting anything and everything he wanted. You grew up what? Thanking God that the lights were on? How the hell you have something in common with him? The only thing you got in common with him is that he's white, you're white. Ain't nobody stupid. You have nothing else in common with him. You ain't never been to one of his golf courses. You can't afford it. So tell me, what do you got in common with him? This is what kills me when I talk to these MAGA people. They have nothing in common with this man. They have more in common with their black or Latin or Asian neighbor than they have with that rich white man that ain't gave two shits about that person. This man literally said that the people who keep us safe and allow him to even have opportunity to be rich were suckers and losers. And you understand why they went to a fight that wasn't their fight. What do they get out of it? That's what I'm saying. That's where I come with this. It gets on my nerves when people don't tell the truth. It's okay that that certain types of people live out here, but just be honest about it. Let's not sugarcoat it. Far too long we've been hearing people tell us that no, racism doesn't exist, racism doesn't exist. You guys just always talking about racism, and then you see it. I saw this one Latin girl going off, and she can go. She got every right to. It's America. Again, talking about black people not in the fight. And I looked in her comment section. Black people were speaking, but I was looking for what Latin people were saying because I knew what black people were going to be saying. I already know it. I already got the script in my head. I already know what they're going to say because I'm black. But I was looking for Latin people, how they was responding to her. A lot of Latin people was down with her, and then there was some that were like, why should they? When they needed us, you weren't there. That was a Latin person. And then it was just a few others that were just, kind of, it wasn't a lot, but it was, every like 10 messages or 10 comments, there would be one. I would read through it, try to figure out. And I realized something. I said, and this one person said something to the effect of, they fought and died for us. When have we fought and died for them? I was like, bingo. Well, she said something about Mexico invited, the enslaved people in Mexico, and they didn't believe in slavery and they were freed. And I was like, that's nice. And I ain't saying that history isn't existing, but that has nothing to do with fighting for America. If you were in Mexico, that means I had to get to the border. Did you help us go through the Underground Railroad to get there? I mean, you're not being clear enough for me. I mean, what does it mean that once we got there, you weren't evil, but you didn't fight with us? You just didn't. Is that what you were saying? Because it didn't make any sense to me that she didn't even add the logic up. She was talking about in Mexico, it wasn't there. I'm like, we had to make it to Mexico first, right? And the Mexicans that was living in America, they were going through it, but were they the ones giving us? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. I'm like, we have to work together. But here's the thing and I wanted to get it out to Latin people who may not understand, because sometimes I see these messages and they're not very clear to me even. But black people have fought for you. Our vote was a huge fight for you. Not only was that vote a huge fight, not only me, but many, I mean many of content programmers or content creators that are black were actually educating the world. Their viewers galore. Some had millions. I know Conscious Lee was doing it. I mean, people, and I haven't seen a boy in a minute. Forgot his name right now at the top of my head. But I Speaks was talking about it. You had, of course, me. You had all these other people that were talking about it that had like millions of followers. Joy Reid. And I'm like, where were you at? We were warning you. We were screaming at the top of our lungs. Where were you at? You were nowhere to be found. And if you were found, you had so much hate for Kamala. It kills me how they're still saying to this minute, how do you say her? I can't even say her name wrong. It's Kamala, but they say it wrong. Still. People who will say, well, I didn't vote for Kamala because of something. I'm like, just the idea that you said Kamala told me you took no time to even watch her. Because remember when her cute little nieces came up and we saw history being made where a black woman was running? Well, we already had Shirley Chisholm run for president, but we had this black woman sitting there and the little two girls, the heads were sticking up and so proud of their aunt. And they got up on stage or whatever and said, comma and la. Like a comma, period, and la. Kamala. How the hell you still saying Kamala? That shows us right now, still to this day, you have no respect for her. Let you say your name wrong, whatever the hell your name may be. If it's Bianca, let us say Bianca. You will flip the fuck out. But no, you know you're highly disrespecting her and you do it on purpose. You've learned to do it on purpose. And then you would say, I just didn't like her plans. How can you say you didn't like her plans if you never even learned her name? It tells me you didn't even do the homework to find out who the hell she was, let alone what she had to offer. You can't fool us into thinking that you gave a damn when you couldn't get her name right. Had you done your homework, you would have known Democrats have protected the border better than any Republican has ever done. 3 million to your what? 500,000? 3 million. Mm-hmm. Democrats whooped that ass. But nope, you didn't know that. Because you're too caught up in listening to white people who are racist as fuck tell you that they're great at something because they have more numbers here. It's not true. They did bad as Republicans, and they're not doing any good. They throw red meat out there to racist people, and you guys jump. And that's fine. Do your thing. But there's a majority of us who aren't racist, from what it seems. I'm not sure. I can't say that because I haven't met everybody, but there was over 60% in many populations, or close to it for some. It's 50-something for others, that voted for Kamala. So we need to work on growing that as opposed to going the opposite direction. The idea that a man is in office right now destroying the lives of everybody, black, white, Latin, Asian, everybody. Everybody's life is going down the tubes. Everybody's. But Latin people are going through all that, plus the hell and the fear of being hunted. Do you have to put yourself in a position of being hunted to feel what the hell they're feeling? You shouldn't have to, but put yourself in the fear that you could be walking down the street and a bunch of people come running after you. That shit's scary as hell, especially you don't know who the fuck it is, and you don't know if they're coming at you or they come to somebody else, but everybody running. Can you imagine how hard or how fast your heart rate would be? Could you imagine people so scared that they're releasing liquids, peeing on themselves? Probably, doing number 2 on themselves. The scariness of being, think about when all the horror movies you done seen, somebody's chasing you, trying to get you, and you wake up like, oh my God, ooh, that real life shit. Somebody's coming after you like that. Guns toting, mask on. You don't know if it's really somebody from the FBI or somebody playing, and he's going to kidnap your ass and do whatever to you. You don't know. And when they grab you, you have no idea because they don't tell you why they're grabbing you. And you are an American citizen for many of these people. So you damn sure don't know why they're grabbing you. It's horrible. Black people are staying out of the way because you got to understand something. We told you guys ahead of time what was the plan. You got to vote for the Democrat. I don't care who it was. If it was Biden, I would have voted for Biden. Like I said, I don't care if Biden's head was in a jar. Biden would have been my number right there. Boom, got him. Let him speak through the jar. I don't care. I don't want that Republican dude, crazy as he is, back in office. I saw what he did. I didn't forget. His first presidency was trash. I was stuck in a house like a prison for 2 years because this fool told the world that a mask was wrong. that vaccines was horrible, even though he was building a vaccine and every country was. Just pure chaos. I mean, who wants chaos back? Seems like some of these people did. These Republicans wanted them back for what? Well, the racist ones had a plan. The ones who wake up every day and wrote Project 2025. But the ones who say they aren't racist but still voted for him, what was your plan? You saw what he did to the country before. You went out there lying to the world that it was better, economy was better under him. It wasn't. Under him, gas prices was rising. Under him, our economy was going to shit. Under him, he had no idea how to open the country back up after COVID. His dumb ass is going to try and open it. Yeah, let's just open it up. And anybody that has ever organized anything in their life knew you just couldn't open up the country. Just everybody, open up. We would have went through so much hell doing that. Why? Because our country deals with supply and demand. We're a capitalist country, right? So when the pandemic happened, we were still producing like the pandemic wasn't there. Well, this led to a lot of surplus because wasn't nobody buying gas like they was buying it before. So they had to stop the production or at least slow down the production of gas because these gas stations weren't selling gas that much because everybody was at home working from their crib. So a lot of the things that a lot of these businesses was closed down. Only essential stores were open. And you had to wait in line outside the store. Only so many people could go in and shop. Before the other group of people could go in, you could sit outside. You just want like a gallon of milk. Everything else is straight. I need milk because, ran out of milk, got no coffee, can't get my cereal, can't get this and all that. You would go get it, just a gallon of milk, wait outside 6.5 fucking hours for it. Walmart was lines around the building, and that building is huge, y'all. All that. And you're going to tell me you're going to open the country up like, open back up. Every store would have been empty. Gas would have been gone. People would have been in lines all down the street with no gas in their car and have to park it on the street until the gas company came and put gas back into the gas station. That's how Donald Trump said open everything up. You knew he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. You have to open things up in segments, and you have to do it so that you get the production pushed back up. So that how long is it going to take to produce this back to where we were at before the pandemic, produce so many gallons of oil and so much gas and so much this and so much that. How long is it going to take? Oh, it's going to take us about 3 months to catch up with that. Then you got to come up with like a 3-month plan to gradually put both of them at the same time. You're not going to be perfect. So that's where the inflation is going to come in and also price gouging because you're not perfect. You're not going to figure it out like it was like the way it's right. You're opening up, buying stuff, and people, or you're putting product out there. These people aren't being able to buy it to catch it up at the time you're doing it, or vice versa. The product's out there and the people aren't, doing the same process. So to get it to equal where it's less inflation, it's going to take some time, and that's what was happening. And in this country, you can't educate people for shit. It's like, dude, it's going to get better. We're just trying to catch up with our supply and demand. If we're producing too much, things will be cheaper. We're producing too less, which we were because we didn't know how far to bring it up. We were producing less. There's more demand, so everything's high. So as we get closer, these price gouging assholes were keeping the price high, even though it should now be back to norm. But greed wins in a capitalistic society. So by the time we got everything back to normal, they kept the prices as if we were off. Gouging. That's what Kamala Harris was saying, that she was going to make it so that businesses couldn't gouge us. Y'all didn't listen. They didn't listen. So what are we doing now? This man raised up everything with tariffs. And he promised this, and everybody who had common sense was educating people. Tariffs, bruh? Tariffs? That's a tax. No, it isn't. You know how many debates I had with people boy, I'm telling you, I gave up on Republicans. I did. There's no reason to even try and educate them. They love being stupid. They love it. It is like they found the newest toy in the toy box. Dipshittery. It's like, oh, dipshittery doll. I just love that shit. And that's all they care about. This world of dipshits. That's all they care about. Let me just be that dumb person for the rest of my life. I'm getting so much money being stupid. Here I was working so hard to get A's and B's. Who knew being a dumbass was more profitable? Because all I got to do is bring more dumb people on and they'll buy my stuff and they'll listen to what I say. They'll become a part of this dumbass cult and I'll sell them Trump stuff. And here I am, a rich person with no sense whatsoever. These people couldn't figure out I often was telling them tariff is going to mess everything up, bro. And we didn't even know this food was going to go to 100-something%. We were down like 2-3% on some of this shit. 10% was like, what the hell? To go to 30 and stay there? Well, actually go to 145 or whatever, then come down to 30. With the 20% already attached, so 50. This is who, I'm telling you, America, please listen. If you elect another Republican to run this damn country in the next 20 or 30 years, I'm going to tell you right now, you're a dumbass. Because not until they revamp their party, this shit is not something Americans should even try to. I'd rather have an independent president before I have another Republican one. You guys went straight down the tubes with this one. The gold toilet, y'all flushed right down that bitch for him. Hatred won. Let's hope next time love wins. People who actually love Americans. These people hate America. They want to turn it into a dictatorship so they can do whatever they want with it. I mean, think about it for a hot second. What president has ever said, I want to turn another country into the 51st state? I mean, once we got out of our colonizer like phases back in the day, who was doing that? That shit's over. But these people want to go back to 17 whatever. Just taking states, taking countries and making them another state. Oh, we want to go ahead and buy Denmark or whatever. Say what? We want to do what? Why would we want to do that? Why is that on your label, man? Why is that even on your list? Could you please bring the prices of eggs down? Shut the fuck up about taking other countries. That's another bill. That country, we got to figure out a budget for that. Who thinks of this shit? We barely have enough money right now to run what we have, the 50 states. This country has debt. We can't balance a budget, yet you're going to find money to buy countries and take on more debt. Do they give a damn about the future? Because these kids ain't going to be able to pay off shit. These kids, their our kids, great grandkids ain't going to be able to pay this shit off. And they call themselves fiscally conservative. Jesus Christ. Thank you, DJ, for your donation, $5 donation. Thank you, Jen James, for your gift of memberships. Appreciate you. But it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get these people. And it's not that we should get them, but we got to figure out something, because I mean, it's like you just can't survive with these people. They don't want to learn nothing. I mean, I love the fact, I wish we could go back to just regular, Democrat, Republican stuff where you can agree to disagree. And when another president came in, he got what he wanted mostly, but it wasn't maniacal. It wasn't, what we wanted, so to speak. But it wasn't like trying to destroy the damn country. It's crazy. To get to some somewhat kind of fun, good news in a way, it's disrespectful. No, but I know I don't know if anybody did or didn't. I didn't see this Trump's military parade. I wouldn't have saw that whatsoever. I didn't even want to watch clips of it, but I saw it by mistake a few times. And Donald Trump, his military parade. You guys notice something about that military parade? You notice something about it? Um, you really didn't hear too much about it today. Mm-mm. Like I told you guys, I used to work in the news media for many years, almost 20 years here in LA. I worked for CBS and in LA. If you're in LA, I worked, the local station KCAL 9. That's where I first started KCAL 9 in Los Angeles. And one of the things I know about news and about television, I was in other things too, reality. I was pitching film and things of that nature. So I know about ratings, Nielsen ratings, uh, and one of the things I realized is that today you couldn't find the ratings of that parade that supposed to be the Army 250th parade, but it turns out it was Donald Trump's Army 50 something parade. It was all about him. And you first of all, today you couldn't find not one station talk about the ratings. Now I understand that oftentimes they categorize these parades into news, and so if news doesn't always get the hype of ratings, but if Trump had had high numbers, trust me, it would have been promoted all day. This whole week we'd be talking about it. So I tried to look up the ratings and see because it was aired like wall to wall for like 4 hours on Fox. You knew Fox was going to be all up Donald Trump's crack. So they had it and aired it and things of that nature. They had not, by the time I started this show, they had not posted the ratings for that thing that they did for 4 hours. They did not post it. Now, being in the industry, I know that the ratings are given to them the next day because that's how we programmed, right? You get the ratings and Nielsen ratings the next day because we would do all kinds of different programs. We did like the DNC, we did all RNC, whatever it was in the news, whatever massive thing was going on, like this parade, we would have covered it. And the next day, we would have looked at the ratings to see how we did compared to the ABC, the NBCs, and all the others. And they were the only one really to carry it, like mainstream. ABC, NBC, all those people, they did not cover it. They just did certain parts. They did mostly of the parade, not the parade, but the protest. No King's protest. That was wall to wall on pretty much every station. So Fox would have had all these ratings pretty much. But what it turns out after what I did look at and try to look outside of the fact, because Fox doesn't own the ratings, Nielsen does it. So Nielsen hadn't even posted it that I could find. So, but they did have the total numbers, right? So it was, let me get it. It was 6 million people watched. And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot of people, but 6 million people watched. Now, 4 million of those people were active military. They watched on a active military site, nothing that civilians can watch. So the majority of the people who watched it were military men and women that were in service, right? So that's where the majority of the views came from. The rest of it was 2 million. On top of that, so it was like out of that 6 million, the 2 million were from a White House channel. People were watching, which was public. You could have watched it publicly. And also mainstream media, mostly Fox. So they attribute the Nielsen ratings of the 2 million being mostly probably Fox because they don't think that White House channel had that many people. So they're looking at probably the OANs, the News Nation, Fox. Those ones are the ones that actually got the bulk of the 2 million. And The White House channel, got whatever it got, but it mixed all those together and came up with 2 million. Now, on estimation of like what an average show on Fox, a news show or something of that nature, gets anywhere between 2 to 4 million people watching it. So the total for all stations was 2 million. So Fox's numbers had to have sucked. That's one reason why they didn't put it out, because it should have been out today. Take care, Jen James. I see you got to get out of here. Take care. And so that lets you know that parade was terrible. Now, the video, I don't know if you guys have seen it. But they put something together, and I think it was Joy Reid that posted it that I saw. And again, it was more of just kind of being funny, but it was put together. I don't know who edited it, but I told you guys, if you was here before the parade, I said to you guys, we don't need a parade. And I'm pretty sure everybody thought that. I said, here's the problem with this parade. It's going to make America look weaker than stronger. And what I meant was that our military is not used to this type of thing. Our military more than likely ain't going to want to do this. So they're not going to be in this like chipper mood or very stoic mood or like, Hitler-esque mood where everybody's marching in step and over exaggerated and, hyped and all this shit. That ain't going to be it. I said this before this parade. I said that they are not going to be in it, and it's going to make us look weaker because the way North Korea, the way China, the way even France, they've been doing it for a long time, yo. They done figured this shit out. This is some half-ass product by Donald Trump, who's half senile. You see what I'm saying? And who organized this crap? I love the Army. Thank you for your service. But I'm going to tell you right now, every country that looked at that parade was like, it was akin to your neighborhood, like, community petting zoo. It was disorganized and half-assed. I mean, there were seats nobody was sitting in certain areas. They packed everybody around Donald Trump so that all around the whole whatever mile they were doing it, there was nothing. And there was people there, but there was nothing in some of these benches. And they tried to come out and say, there were thousands of people that couldn't just make it in. They came late. They were sent to the wrong location. And I heard they were sent to the wrong location, but that don't mean they can't take their ass to the next location and go back. They decided to just not come. We had thousands and thousands. I said, oh my God, same old Trump shit. So many people outside that was waiting. We just couldn't put them all inside. So many millions and hundreds of thousands. I'm like, dude, this shit gets old. It looked terrible. And like I said, Joy Reid put it together. And when she had it. Somebody put it together. She had it on her feed, if you can probably find it. You compared China, Russia, their military, North Korea, their military, and ours. It was like a community fair. We looked terrible. Our men and women some of them were off step. No energy. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to do it either. It's America. It's not like Hitler country. And they compare those two. They juxtapose those two together. China or North Korea, Russia, and America. And everybody was just in shape. I mean, it was just like, it's like they were all connected. Like they had a rope tied to their legs. They all went up at the same time. Arm went up at the same time. And we were just walking like, what the fuck we doing here? We looked terrible, y'all. It looked like it was just terrible. And it's not on the Army. They should have never been put in this position. But to try and show your might, which Donald Trump wanted, you made our military look like trash compared to others. That's why we don't do pageantry bullshit with our military. because they're trained to unalive, to save America, not to be beauty pageants. They are afraid of Donald Trump, that he's going to unalive them if they don't get it right. That fear doesn't exist in our military from Donald Trump. All these other dictatorship countries, if you make them look bad, you may be taken out that night. That's why they're so amped to be amped out there and looking like perfect in unison, because they are in fear of their leader. That's not America. That's why we should have never been in this situation. Ever. I hope to God they never do it again. Don't take no notes from this dude. Don't do it again, please. It was just insane. But then, like I said, that was a flop. The ratings were terrible. Trump ain't said nothing about it. It was his birthday. And I'm happy that it didn't go off well, because I don't want him trying it again. And I think they didn't want him trying it again either. That's why it was so lackluster. It was so quiet, though, too. You got to go look at some of this video. I'm not going to put it up because I don't want to promote it. But look at some of these clips. They have one clip, and I know they were trolling, but they had it where the tank was riding by, and the tank needed some WD-40 like bad. It made it seem like this tank was 700 years old, man. It totally had me thinking like I animated the tank like it was in the movie Cars, right? And I was like, that tank is like grandpa. That tank is like, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm trying to get it in. He's trying. That tank was strolling with a creek. I was like, yo, you really brought this thing without oiling it? It sounded horrific. It sounded like it was an old vehicle, but I don't know what tank's supposed to sound like. But if you're gonna put it in a parade, I don't know, WD-40 something, put something on it. But it just sounded old and rinky dink, and I was just laughing my butt off. So this geriatric tank. But anyway, that was hilarious to me. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that. It's just your fault. I didn't see that. But anyway, the last thing I kind of want to talk about was the No Kings, like the massive outcome. That was insane. It was massive. And I just wanted to say I'm proud of all the people who went, those who fought hard. It was very peaceful. There were speckles of black people, but majority, it was Latin and white people doing it. I'm proud of that too, because you're holding it down, and I saw, and this is what we're talking about. One thing I want to say about this situation is that the reason why you guys, to be honest, and no disrespect to my people, whatever, you guys are going to be more successful at getting this done because of the reason that these people, Donald Trump and his racist nomads, you guys are going to be more successful at it, because the minute a group of black people start to come out there, they're going to demonize it. They're going to do everything they can to make it like there's crime, there's this, there's that. And then it's a wrap. They're focusing on how much they hate us. You may not, if anything, Latin people, white people, other people than black, you should understand the reason why you guys are coming out in droves and not being attacked is because black people aren't leading it. If it was black people leading this, we done told people so many different times, us not being there helps you more than us being there. Because us being there, the narrative becomes hurting black people, beating black people, making us an example, and then scaring you guys to take your ass home. And then you have the racist white people who just don't like us, just automatically see us in the wrong no matter what, would turn this into a black thing in a heartbeat. What did they do to Black Lives Matter? They tried their damnedest to destroy the organization. The gay women, or at least one of them is gay, that started it. I think they're all three of them are in that spectrum. But and they went after that. Oh, they're gay, they're this, they're that. Oh, they're stealing money. They went everywhere to try and destroy us. And it's sad, but it's true. Too many white people in this country, too many people of color who don't like black people, always trying to get close to white proximity, that will believe anything said about a black face, even if it's a complete and utter lie. And so us not being there literally gives you a chance to be able to do what you're doing without the distraction of making it a black and white thing. There's a reason why they allowed Latin people to be considered white on the census. And if you're here white and you're here Latin, light skinned, and you're legal, you're protected almost like a white person to some degree, correct? At least through visual. So you being out there supporting your people, them attacking you looks like they're attacking a white person. They're not going to do that. Not to say white people ain't going to get hurt. Don't get me wrong. They shot that reporter. But for the most part, they're not going to attack. And there's a video out. I'm not going to show it, but there's a video out that proves this. First of all, out of all this, the very first person they detained, the military detained, was a black man who turned out to be a military man going to do his work. And they pulled him over, threw him to the ground, handcuffed him, and he was there to do official military work. He just wasn't dressed in military gear. Another video that was out there, and this is what I was so proud of and thankful for. I don't know who that white guy was, a group of white people, but I thank you. There was a sister out there that all these people was out here. Her black face was the ire of these police officers. They were doing their best to get at her, and white people made a line in front of her to stop them for trying to make an example out of her. When I saw that, it validated that they would do everything they can to make this a black and white thing so that the majority of America can dismiss it. This is too strong to do that. So as black people, fight at home. Get on a mic and tell what you feel and fill the airwaves. Let them be out in the streets because they ain't going to do to them what they do to you. Trust me. If anything, and I know that somebody in another state, one of the people was unalived, and that was because the officer or something like that saw somebody pointing a gun at the protesters, and they shot him. But they shot at him. They ended up shooting somebody else behind him or side him or something like that, and killed that person and arrested the guy who had a gun pointing it at the protesters. So I don't know if there was a protesters out there doing that or if it was somebody who didn't like it. It was an anti-protester. I don't know who it was. I didn't get all the details yet. I just heard it right before I went live. So if it had been more black people out there, trust me, they would have made it about a black thing so they can deter it. They can destroy it. Just because Latin people who are American and can file as white, they're not going to fuck with you as much. The picture doesn't look good. They can't validate doing it to you like they did it to us. Now, you darker skinned Latin people, they might fuck with you. Because at this point, you're the black one in the room. Because we ain't out there in mass. So be careful. But we done told you before we knew this country. Our ancestors taught about this country. It is the ideology of wokeness that black people know about, not because of what racist white people have turned it into. It's because our ancestors did everything they could to protect us so that we can be where we are today. We told people before Donald Trump came to office this country was racist as fuck. A lot of the people, I would say the majority of them, are not. But here's the thing. The majority of white people in this country aren't racist, but somehow the racists are empowered. Go figure. The majority of white people in this country are not racist, But what it says to me is that the majority of people who are not racist aren't powerful enough to overthrow the minority that are racist. Which means to me, they wake up every day with hate. And the power within white people who aren't racist that you have, that energy you have with other cultures is great, but it's not overwhelming. That is putting out the fire of hate of people who look like you, your family, your cousins. That hate isn't dissipating. And it's only you that get to see that. We don't get to see it until we become the victim on the other side of it. You get to see it when it's dormant and it's sitting on a couch, spewing hate. It's at that moment the ones who aren't racist needs to put that fire out in some way, shape, or form. It's not up to the ones who are going to get harmed by it. It's up to the ones that see it and say they don't like it to put that fire out. That's the only way it's going to end. You just can't befriend black people and think that these hateful people are going to disappear, because the majority of you aren't racist. And how is it the racists are empowered? How are they stronger than you? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's like the equivalent of that little, I guess, statement that they had out there about one gorilla or silverback against 100 men. You got a minority of racist white nationalists. I mean, a minority, and they're overpowering the majority of non-racist white people. That doesn't make sense. So we got to work on that, because if that right there is the way you nix this. But if you can't nix it, it's going to always be here, which we understand the majority of the time it's going to be here. But it was bigger before. So whatever we've been doing has been working. We just have to keep at it. I see it. Jack one up tone said evil people are more aggressive. Yeah. They're more adamant. It's like, if you got love in your heart, you just really kind, and that's what I'm saying about the good white people and good people of all colors and races and creeds. When the good people in every culture, you're on cruise control, because to us, love is just letting people be. To them, for people who hate, it's about holding people back. So the hateful people have to act on their hate, meaning they have to hurt somebody, get rid of people, do something to make themselves feel better. They got to do something to the people physically, financially. They got to do something to them to hold them back purposely. That's why you have investment banks that won't invest in black people, won't invest in Latin people, won't invest in any other culture but white men mostly, and have to have their arm twisted to invest in white women. And they have to be that way on a day-to-day basis. It's ingrained in them that it is natural for them to be hateful. Their hate looks like they're just having a great life. Oh, it's wonderful. Just everything's great. And this is hate to them. Hey, how you doing? That was funny. That's still hate to them. They look like they just care about you. They're thinking about unaliving you in your face. In your face. I'm cool with you. I'm cool. Wouldn't invest in him. I don't want my daughter near him. I don't want my son near her or whatever. This right here is a face of hate. They've learned to hide behind the mask of everyday life. That's why you can't get a lot of, before Donald Trump, you would tell white people that racism is a racist country. Oh, no, I got a lot of black friends and this and that. It's not. And then as soon as Donald Trump comes in, mask off. Hateful shit, disrespectful shit, racist shit. xenophobic shit, transphobic shit, all of it out in the open. And they know they're not going to get anything from anybody. What should show you that white supremacy exists is not necessarily white supremacy, because it ain't really, they're not supreme. The racism exists. All the people from January 6th got let go after harming white officers and other races, of course. After unaliving officers who went through so much PTSD, they took their own lives after something like this. People losing fingers and being harmed, all that. Law-abiding people got hurt by criminals who happen to be white. And this country allowed, without an uproar, without a huge protest, without even trying to, unalive one or two of them, this country was like, okay, let go of the criminals that tried to unalive for a white man. They're not criminals. Put them back on the street. And this country just sat there. Didn't put up a fight. Didn't do anything. And then want to say it's not a racist country? When have they ever let go of anybody of color that attacked white people? That have tried to unalive white people, that have set aside a plan to unalive a group of white people? When has that ever happened? That a president or somebody of power, in this situation it has to be a president, just wanted to pardon them. It's just never happened. Except for Trump. Should tell you what this country really is as opposed to what they say it is. The minute we start calling any culture, any race of people, when they do what this Vance, his name, was it Bolter, did, he should automatically, or she should automatically be considered a domestic terrorist. 100%. That's what he should be labeled. Whether you end up charging him that in court, that's a whole different other story. But right now, he should be labeled a domestic terrorist. But whenever it's a white man, go look back in history, they always say he's mentally ill. Something's wrong with him. He's sick. Let it be a Muslim. He's a terrorist on day one. When they're hunting him, he's already called a terrorist. This man was not called a terrorist at any given point. That's why when a reporter asked him that at this press conference, he looked like, we're going to try and do whatever we can. He couldn't answer that damn question. It is ingrained in white officers and white people in power to never place that label on a white person. But let that person be Latin. Let that person be black. That person is that on day one. Let that person in this world, now with Trump, let that person be a Democrat. Whew. They would be right now called a domestic terrorist by this regime. Got to fix it. Got to fix it. Want to give all my members love. I see you, Monica. I see you, DJ. Love how you guys are connecting. Rude Interplanet Janet, I see you. Hopefully you guys saw your messages up here. Let me get to everybody. Give everybody who became a member, love. Swift returns. I appreciate you. I would say. Oh, DJW. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Yeah, and what you said earlier, yeah, and blacks were blamed for looting and rioting. Yeah, exactly. Like during that whole process, George Floyd, you saw all these people. There's so many videos of people of all different races, white, and I saw white once, two white girls on one dude with a mask on. I saw some Latin dudes that I don't know what they were part of, but they was painting on something. And I'm sitting here like, and these people are like saying they're not a part of Black Lives Matter. I don't know what they're doing. Why are they doing this? And they were yelling at them like, stop it, man. This ain't a part of the whole process. And no matter what, they ran with that narrative. Even though they had photographs and pictures of white people doing it, of this Latin group doing it. Now, I'm not saying black people didn't do something. I saw in a situation, I don't know if it was in LA, they were looting like crazy. I saw black people running out, white people, all that. But again, like I said, I know there's many of them, but I saw one when it's coming out of a pretty big store. The majority of people I saw running out were white. I saw a black person coming out like every, third or fourth person. So if there was 100 there, there's probably 25 black, 75, white or light-skinned people, and they hung that on just black people. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? That's all they hung it on. They would show you the 25 black people ran out of there. And they was in groups, so it'd be like 10 of them. It'd be like 8 of them, and like 2 of them, or whatever. And every like, group was coming out. Black, white, Latin, Asian, all that was running out of this spot. That's why I say going to these things is not going to be beneficial to black people. I mean, you can do what you want. I ain't telling you what not to do. I'm just saying you are their target, saying there's less of you. And they want to make an example. And Kristen, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. They want to make us the example. That's why when we do something, they're always on us. So us not being out there is pretty much an added plus to make sure the message gets out. To be honest, for me, I said this years ago, but I don't think I said it on social media. That I said the way. Oh, thank you, Mark D, for being here. The way that we end racism is not through black people; it's through white people. What's up, Bishop? Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Just saying, thank you. I see the membership. Is that how you say that? Danielle, thank you for being here. Deborah, thank you for being a member. And it's through white people because they're going to be the ones that's going to be doing all the fight. They're the ones that they're going to be left alone if they fight hard. They're not going to try and unalive people who look like them. And if they do, it won't look well because, again, now you got the narrative that white people are criminals. They don't ever want that out there. Even though there's crime coming from every race. But if it was led by white people, they would have to, more white people they arrest, their numbers go up. And as it starts to have more and more and more arrests of white people, it starts to say, oh, who was the most arrested last year? Oh, most people arrested were white people. But even percentage-wise, it's way higher than anybody else. That narrative they can't have because they run with that narrative to get elected. Everybody else is so high. That's why they let go of so many white people when y'all get arrested, because they want to keep those numbers down. They want other cultures, browner cultures, to be the most arrested. That's why we're over policed, so that the numbers are always skewed. Think about it. When these racists always spew, well, we do, substances at the same rate, but, you guys get arrested more. It's like, so what we're saying is true then. We're over policed because if you do substances, that 20% of y'all do substances and 20% of us do substances, 20% of you is a shit ton of millions and 20% of us is maybe, 800,000. So 800,000 of us, and we're getting arrested more. And 20% of you are doing it, and you're in the millions, and you're getting less. You're under police. We're over police. That number is skewed for a reason. You got to have a group that's always better than the other so that you can always say the other group is better. So the stats are always skewed. But if we were policed equally, you would find that a higher percentage of white people are going through these things, are being arrested for everything out there. Unaliving people, higher number. Ask. That's why they have the people didn't like. When people talk about critical race theory, they had to make that everything that tells the truth. Racist white people have to demonize it. Woke, they demonized it because woke was really just about being aware of what's going on. If we say to be woke, we want you to be educated to know what's going on, no matter what race you are. But black people use it for our race for protection. But no matter what race you are, if you telling your friends, kids, whatever, stay woke. You telling them keep their head on a swivel no matter where they're at, because you never know what could happen. Some dude could try to attack you, so make sure you got some mace on you. All this is to protect you. That's it. They turned that into a demonic thing because telling people to be aware, to be educated, they didn't want you to be educated. They wanted you to remain stupid, don't know anything. Make it a bad thing so that people run away from education and protection and run into the arms of those demons that want you to believe the crap they say. If you are aware, like woke really means, that means you know the true history of this country and you want this country to move forward and be better than it was in the past. But if you are made afraid of or against the idea of learning the truth, then you run into the arms of liars thinking that the truth is against you and the lies are for you. This truth is some fake shit that they just brought up. Like, this is from the real books. I didn't make this shit up. This is Christopher Columbus wrote this damn shit, not me. He'll tell you what he did. But they want to whitewash it. Don't pay attention. You woke if you're listening to real shit. It's the craziest thing ever. But people bought into it. When I saw people whom I thought was left wing or at least in the center saying this wokeism, I was like, wow, you bit hard into the racism. The idea of telling people that anything that they're against is woke and those things are to educate them and inform them, you're trying to make them stupid on purpose. You're trying to make them hate on purpose. And that's exactly what happened. So we're trying to put out stuff like, hey, you need to be aware so that you make the right decisions in your life. And black people have been pushing that forever. And racist white people, racist other people, or misguided other cultures always try to turn it evil, turn good into evil, so that you run right into the arms of evil thinking that is good. Look at history. When have black people ever fought to be supreme to anybody? When have people of color wanted anything other than to be equal and treated the exact same? So why are we so crazed about equality like it's some wild, crazy ideology? Why does anybody have in their mind that equality is hurtful to somebody? And why can't we notice that and call racism out for what it is? If somebody has a disdain for equality, that's a hateful human being. Why would you have hate for people who wanted to love everybody the same? It's just logic. And it kills me how people can't gather that together. But it is what it is. I'm about to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, inform, educate, because every day I try my best to learn more and more. I'm an advocate for learning and becoming smarter. The thing about life is that you're never going to know everything, and nobody's trying to be a genius. It's all about being informed, knowing the truth, and not letting lies seep into your mind and become a staple to live inside your brain so much that you don't care about the truth. You only care about how you feel. And you always want to feel good, so the lies creep in and take a hold. I'm a firm believer of telling the truth. You can ask my children and anybody in my life. I tell the truth even if it hurts. Because why? Because the only way to get from pain to pleasure is to go through the pain first to get to the pleasure. To fake it and act like you got it all together, don't do nothing but hinder the fact of you having gone through the pain. Pain is growth. Pain is growth. If you told me, hey, Drew, you need to lose weight, you're a little bit over, it may hurt or sting, but it's the truth. And that's what's going to push me to be a better person, be a better health, and have a better life, quality of life. Just hearing you already look great doesn't help. I know it sounds bad for some people, but it is what it is. I don't have a problem with that. I invite that into my life because I'd rather be a better human being than to be lied to and stay mediocre. I don't think everybody needs to believe what I believe. I just say the truth and I let it stand for itself. And if I get it wrong or don't have the full information, you'll see. You'll notice how I say what is factual. And then when I see something that I don't know for a fact, I'm like, this right here is a rumor that it's supposed to be this. I'm chasing that down. I'm not saying that's a fact. So, but I get it out there as much as I can. As you can tell, sometimes these things kind of wear on you. My content creator colleagues, I promise you, I don't know how they do it. When it comes to putting out, 20 pieces of content a day, I don't see how they do that. It's too much to wear on your brain to be constantly shooting and putting out content about every little thing that happens in this world. That has to be crazy for your mental health. I have a show of mental health on TikTok, and I take my time on Wednesdays to be peaceful after my shows. I get to being peaceful. I'm taking care of my mental health. I hope that you do the same because this man and this nomad regime, if you don't know what nomad is, it means no merit administration. No, obviously no. Merit is the M for merit. Then mad is administration, AD. So nomads. This nomad, this administration, the nomads, will wear your ass out. So please take time to find your inner peace. Stay healthy. Keep your mental together. Hearing a bunch of negative all day, every day can mess with you. And sometimes you got to take a break from it. And I'm going to try and do some more positive, not always informative, but more positive things because we need to stay aware of what's going on with Donald Trump and his administration, but we also need to protect our peace. So I don't want to be a bringer of just stress. I want to bring love as well because that's who I really am. But I hate being lied to, so you get the straight facts, no chaser, fuck your feelings, dude. But other than that, I hope you guys have a good night. Tomorrow I'll be back around 5:30 Pacific Standard Time doing the same things. Telling the truth, nothing but the truth. And hopefully, I'll see you guys tomorrow. If not, I'm here Monday through Friday at the same time. And I got a show on TikTok. You like old school music? We have old school music. You get 2 song requests. Got to come early, though. So that starts at 7:30 or right after, a little bit after my YouTube show on Friday. And we get it in for about 4 hours or so playing music, old school music. OJ's, Anita Baker, Angela Winbush, I'm saying, Commodores, all that, everything. Cool in the Gang. We get it in. So that'll be on Friday. And Wednesday is the mental health. That's at 7:30 also Pacific Standard Time. And Sunday, I love Sundays on TikTok. It is jazz blues. We do a small music show. Then we watch an old school movie. And we just watched a old school movie, a black and white movie that had Sammy Davis Jr. It's called Anna. I forgot the last name of it, but Anna something. But and it was a beautiful movie. So you got it had a lot to it from 1958. So anyway, that's what I do on Sunday. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Other than that, much love to y'all. Y'all have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, you know what your boy says. I'll see you when I see you.